This is the new Elegoo Neptune 4, and you might notice this is moving a little fast for being a bed slinger style printer, and that's because it's running Klipper firmware right out of the box, along with some much needed upgrades over the Pro 3. And they also have a Pro version of this one as well, with some more upgrades. And just like all the Neptune printers, there is some assembly required, but for the most part it's just plugging stuff in and a handful of bolts. And it does come with step-by-step instructions that are very easy to follow, and it should only take about 30 to 45 minutes to assemble it all. And at first glance this almost looks exactly like the Neptune 3 Pro, as you can see with them side by side. But if you look closely, there's definitely some much needed upgrades. Like the entire print head assembly. It looks like pretty much everything on this has been changed, and it also now comes with a full metal hot end. And you can see the copper and titanium heat break right here. And due to all these upgrades, you can print faster and at a higher temperature of 300 degrees Celsius out of the box. They've also added a full-size USB port, so you can use this to load up your files instead of using an SD card. They've also added a massive fan assembly to cool down your parts for faster printing. So in total, this printer has 6 part cooling fans. So cooling definitely will not be a problem. And they did change up the bed mounting a little bit compared to the Neptune 3 Pro, and they went back to making it adjustable on the Neptune 4. They are still using the same removable screen design, but the startup of this entire printer takes a bit longer due to it running Klipper now. And really this whole process takes about 40 seconds. And this does come with a USB drive, which has some printable test files on it, along with the slicer. So I just started up the first print I could find, which is a little Buddha statue, and the machine was able to get straight to work. This does have auto bed leveling, so I didn't have to mess with any of that really. That being said, I did notice right away the sound level of this thing. Because it's moving faster and has so many fans, it's definitely not quiet. So yeah, I don't really see you doing overnight prints with this and being able to sleep in the same room. But it definitely does a good job at printing, and this only took about 37 minutes. And I know this is printed in white, so it's kind of hard to see, but I don't really see any flaws in this. But that was a pre-sliced file, so I sliced up my own little cute dinosaur, and I was able to print this out in 15 minutes. And I even changed out the filament to some silk blue. And this came out pretty good besides a slight artifact down on the lower part of the chest. And really, this is just another simple print. So I thought I'd do something a little more difficult, and downloaded this mobile exosuit phone stand. And this is made up of a lot of parts that need to fit together, along with some parts that need to move that are printed in place. And it did take about 8 hours to print everything with no failures. And all the parts were able to click together, and all the gearing works as well. So I'm definitely pretty happy how that came out. I also found this Star Wars AT-AT planter, which actually had an estimated print time for the Ender 3, which is 15 hours. And I wanted to see how much time the Neptune 4 could save. And surprisingly enough, it was almost able to save 10 hours, because this only took 5 hours and 20 minutes to finish. And here's a look at it through a thermal camera as it's printing. And you can see that the cooling is really doing its job. So this is a pretty good 3D printer that also prints very fast. But one other major pro to this is the price. And as of recording this, the Neptune 4 is only $260, which in my opinion is extremely cheap for what you're getting. Or if you wanted to spring for the Pro version, it's only about $40 more. And with these printers, I feel like Elegoo actually listened to the community and took all of their feedback and put it into the machine. That being said, this isn't the perfect 3D printer, because none of them are. And like I've said a few times now, this is running the Klipper firmware, which you can normally connect to over Wi-Fi with your computer. But this printer doesn't have Wi-Fi. It only has an Ethernet port to plug into. So this is the only way you'll be able to connect to it over the internet. Well, unless you really want to dive into the machine, set up some stuff through Linux, and then you can actually have Wi-Fi working on this. And there's a step-by-step video on how to do this over on the Manic Really channel, which I'll have a link in the description to. And the only other downside to this printer is it's not fully enclosed, so printing your higher temperature materials, you're going to have to put this inside of some sort of enclosure, or you're going to have things warping. And if you need an enclosure, these work really well. They're also easy to set up and relatively cheap. And it also has an exhaust vent on the back, so you can ventilate all the fumes from the higher temperature materials, because most of them are toxic. But this is definitely going to be my go-to recommendation for anyone that is on a budget looking to get into 3D printing, because for the most part it just kind of works, and you don't have to dive into the advanced settings of this to get nice prints out of this. And I've just been using default settings for everything I've printed on this, and I've had no problems. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know in the comments what you think. And if you're looking for anything I used in this video, I'll have links to everything in the description below. Well, that's about it, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!